Okay.
Hello. You ready to do this, Yuxin?
Sure. Let's see.
All right. Hello, and welcome to Warhammer 40k's Grim History from Beyond. I'm Zekthar.
And I'm Yuxin.
We are the chroniclers of all that was, all that will be, the 41st millennium. And today, we're going to do something a little interesting.
Alright. Ah, no! Crap! Yes, that's right, Sektar. So, for the past few months, we have been posting on who? I don't have the rest of this. Because, unfortunately, since I'm signed out of mine now, I can't see the rest of it. Well, anyways, we've been talking about back and forth between us about the Primarchs, and so we have decided to now do this live and see what you guys think. So let's get into it, shall we? Do you hear me there, Zektar? I'm not.
back. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. But yes, we're going to be doing, anyways, a live stream on who are the better duelists of the Primarchs. And just to let you guys know, I know this list might ruffle a few feathers.
Just to let you know, on my end, I can't read the entire intro.
Well, I'm also getting some feedback. This is a disaster.
Anyways, you can hear me now, yeah?
Yes, all three of you.
What?
I got an echo on this side that is like bad. Well, you see, this is what we get anyways when you have to send voxes anyways through thousands of miles and actually billions of miles of space.
Well, according to our wonderful friend, Krona, you're the only person who's hearing that goes.
Yes. But here's the deal. For all of you people anyways that are listening, now that we've got this up and running, I understand that this list might ruffle a few feathers. Mainly because this is a very opinionated topic. Just remember to be cordial on the chat. And who knows, perhaps you may change our minds about some of these guys.
Yes. Well, let's get started, shall we?
Okay, so before we get started, I gotta let you guys know that this is pre-Horus Heresy era. So all these Primarchs anyways, this is before they become demon princes for some of these guys. So honestly, Euxin, I think anyways, probably at the very bottom has got to be Lorgar, right?
Right. Are you seeing the tier thing?
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
If we ever do this again, folks, I swear we'll be better at it next time.
Now do you see it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So at the bottom we have who?
Lorgar. Lorgar's got to be at the bottom, right?
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, now mind you, anyways, this is all about just fighting.
Now, just to let you know, since obviously we don't have a ranking here of 1 to 18, we're going to put them in as relatively close as we can to that. Just right, having them separated. Anyways,
our bottom three anyways would be F, the next three would be E, then D, then C, then B, then A, and then our final victor anyways would be S.
So, who would you put in next?
Well, first off, anyways, the reason why Lorgar is down to the very bottom is because, I mean, from what I've ever gathered, anyways, he's not really a fighter, right?
Right.
I mean, he's more of a like a chaplain.
So,
now who would you put anyways next to
him? Not being as well versed as you, I would put I don't know, Perturbro might be down there towards the bottom.
Yeah, I think he's probably an E factor. I'm thinking more along the lines of actually probably Gilliman.
Oh yes, because he's more of a tactical slash
Empirical leader.
yeah.
And he's very good at it. It's just when I think of fighters, I really don't think of Gilliman.
And so you're thinking that Perturbro would probably be in the next three?
Yeah, well, he'd be definitely in the bottom part of the E sector.
Okay.
So the other guys that I'm kind of thinking about right now, anyways, honestly, would probably be Dorn, Alfarius, those kind of guys.
Well, that's the controversy, is whether or not we put Alfarius down at the bottom or Dorn. Because of, the whole fight where, yes, Alfarius was killed, but was it because he was trying to,
Kill him. Yeah.
sway Dorn, or was he actually trying to kill Dorn? So, I don't know, just for argument's sake, I don't know, Alfarius down in the Fs, maybe? What do you think?
Feedback killed me.
What do you think?
That's kind of an interesting question. Just simply because there's that whole concept of whether or not Dorn, when he fought Dorn, if he was actually really trying to kill him. And we just kind of did a whole month, anyways, talking about that. Nope. I'd probably put Alfarius above him.
Okay.
Just on the concept. No, here's the interesting thing, anyways, is it because it's not just Alfarius. It's Alfarius and Omega, right?
Yeah,
so I think
true.
if both of them were there, they definitely could take Dorn, right?
Yeah, that's true. So
okay, well then,
Dorn's in the last one of the bottom three.
So the last one on F, anyways, I'd probably put is Dorn.
Yeah. And so for E, we have now Perturbro, Alfarius. Where would you put?
So the last one on E, that's a tricky one.
Where would you put Horus?
Pardon?
Or would you put Magnus down there? I'm thinking either, probably not Angron because he's a better fighter. It's just he's mad. Ferrus Manus is more well known as being a smith.
I'd probably put Magnus.
Magnus? Okay.
Yeah. And it's nothing against Magnus. It just has to do with the fact that when I think of fighters, I don't really think of Magnus. Now, mind you, anyways, he does have that cool ability, anyways, to use the warp to his means. But when I'm thinking of dueling somebody, I normally don't think of, wizards.
Yeah.
Problem with wizards is, as you know, anyways, that if you get close to them, anyways, they don't have a lot that they can do. But
the only case of that being is if somebody's solely focused on hand-to-hand combat spells and stuff.
So now getting into D, I'd probably put Fulgrim up there next.
Okay. Because once again, this isn't. He didn't have his special insane sword and.
Right. Well, okay. So if I was going to actually list this though, like 18 through 1, I'd probably put Ferrus Manison first.
Okay.
Because Fulgrim did kill him.
And so, would you put Alfarius before or after Magnus?
I'd put him before.
Before. So,
Yeah.
better or worse than, I guess I should ask.
Yeah. After that, I'd probably throw in. Honestly, I'd probably throw in Horus. What do you think?
Okay. The only thing I know about Horus is the fact that he was obviously the War Master, and the fact that almost all combat that I can think of when he's faced against like other Primarchs or other major creatures that level was after he had been, corrupted. So.
Yeah.
So now we are at the halfway point.
C tier.
I would put Angron somewhere in
So-
there just because, unfortunately, since he's
I'm thinking at
insane,
this
he'd
point,
be somewhat
anyways, I'd
predictable.
probably throw in Kurz.
Curse next? Okay. Because let's face it, he's more known as being the terror. Than just a solid, straight up warrior.
And then I'd probably after that, anyways. Right. Well, he's also he did fight Lionel Johnson to a standstill. So I don't know. Maybe not Kurz there.
Okay, then who would you put there instead? I'd assume either Angron or Korax.
Oh, okay, so this tier, anyways, it should come down to pretty much 4 different Primarchs. It should be Kurz, Angron, Mortarion, and Korax.
See, I want to
So-
put Mortarion down there because one of the things about him is, first of all, is his basic abilities was to be a tank, and at the same time, he had the side effect of sapping fatigue out of people, which gave him the ability
Right.
of, so long as he was able to fend the person off long enough, he'd end up being able to persevere and just take your head off.
True, but honestly, I think Angron could beat him. Just the sheer madness, anyways, of Angron, anyways, I think could beat him.
Okay, so what do you do then? Kurz, Mortarion, and then Angron, or I don't know where to put Korax.
That's the problem I've got too.
I have
No idea
next
where
to no actual basis to go off when it comes to Korax.
Korax is the sneaky guy, so it's just
I'm saying he goes next after Kurz. And then we'll go with Mortarion.
okay. Say that again.
After Kurz comes Korax and then Mortarion.
Yeah, I can live with that.
Then I would go with Angron.
Right. And then Angron is going to take up the top or the first part of the B list. Now we're down to our last 5.
Yeah.
This is the hard part.
Well, part of it's hard. part of it's the
So,
part that people will be, I'm sure, frustrated at us for.
so here's the question, anyways. Who do we? So okay. Let's start with the con.
Okay.
So let's start with the con, because I think, anyways, he probably belongs in this list at some point.
Yeah, I would
We
put
actually
him.
have people talking here.
What?
Who's?
So I would put in these two rankings these two. And I put it where Sanguinius is before Khan because no matter how wonderful Sanguinius is, as you can see, I have so much bias against this. I just think that because of the fact that nobody knows enough about the Khan, and the Khan thoroughly basically invests on actually knowing about the other Primarchs. Like, for example, one of the reasons why he didn't originally start doing well against Mortarion is because he knew next to nothing about him. But he still had the ability and skill to hold him off until he learned about him. He was able to take the correct actions. What are your thoughts? Hello?
Can you still hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Could you go ahead and talk to me real quick?
Okay. Wow, it has a bit of a lag. Okay.
I'm getting this weird echo, man.
So my viewpoint is that I would put Sanguinius before.
Oh, okay. I got rid of it. No, I don't have 5 people talking. No, it's back. Crap. That's just on a delay. Ugh. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. So I would put
No. Hello?
Okay.
Are you still there, Noah?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Or sorry. All right, here we go.
So
Hey!
I put Sanguinius next and then the Khan because Sanguinius, no matter how wonderful he is, I just don't think he'd be able to deal with the fact that he doesn't know the Khan well enough. And the Khan knows about him, plus the Khan is known for being a really, really good swordsman.
True. Okay, so, okay. I can hear myself think now. This is so great. We finally figured it out, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So, with Sanguinius, do you think he could beat the Khan?
No.
Why not?
Because the Khan, like I said before, for one thing, he's studied, he definitely would have already known about Sanguinius's skills. But also he had speed, he was an amazing swordsman, and because of the fact that he would know Sanguinius enough, he would know where the weak spots are. On the other hand, Sanguinius doesn't know the Khan nearly as well, if much at all. And so he would be having to deal with an unknown factor, which makes it much harder.
What about Sanguinius's foresight?
That the only time it's been established that it was a very, very like brief up to like second thing is his battle against Kurz, which it's the only time that apparently occurs. So
Oh,
that
wait
would
a minute.
is
Hang on. When did he fight Kurz?
he
I don't
fought
remember.
him during the time period that with around the same time that he was being hunted by Gilliman and Johnson, I think.
So I
Anyways,
don't remember him actually fighting Kurz. I remember the lion fighting Kurz,
well,
and I
in
think you're
theory,
talking
it
about during
goes
the
that
time of the
neither.
Imperium Secondus, right?
Well, the way that in theory it went, from my knowledge, uh, is that basically neither of them could get a solid hit because they both were able to foresee each other's moves. Now, in a way that doesn't quite make sense. But anyways, other than that one occasion, pretty much all of the foresight that I'm aware of when it comes to Sanguinius has been something that's seen much further in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's not, and one of the things they proved to Kurz is it isn't necessarily set in stone. Different things can change the factor, it's just in most cases they can't.
Right.
So,
Okay.
because he
So
doesn't have the immediate foresight, he wouldn't be able to adjust really to what the Khan was doing. He may have a snapshot of, okay, this might happen, but it could change.
right. So I'm actually in agreement with you, anyways, on Sanguinius. I don't think that he could beat the Khan. Do you think he could beat Lehman Russ? So
The
I figured, I
Sanguinius
figured,
would be able
I
to
figured
beat
we.
Lehman Russ? No.
Okay, hang on. Anyways, I figure anyways because Sanguinius is a really pivotal character that a lot of people really love. I figure we just kind of go down the line real quick and see, anyways, if he can actually beat any of the people that are still left. I mean, because I
Okay.
think you would agree with me, anyways, that he could pretty much beat any of the rest of the Primarchs we've already discussed, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's much in question.
Of course,
So
technically,
all we have
Alfarius
left,
should probably
anyways.
be at the top because you have no idea if you're actually being Alfarius or somebody else. But
Because as you know, anyways, if the winner, like for instance, of our poll, anyways, is like for instance the lion, anyways, that is a lie. It's really Alfarius.
yes, exactly.
But
So it's like, number one is Russ. No, it isn't. That is a lie.
but anyway, so and I agree with you, anyways. I don't think that he could beat the Khan. So we'll just go through, anyways, the rest of them real quick. Do you think he could beat Lehman Russ?
No, I just think there's too much of a difference in style, and we know that he's actually that. Okay, this is a conflict that we had before when we did a pair up on who would win, Sanguinius or Russ. One of the things that people came up with was, well, you know, the reason why Sanguinius didn't beat Horus was because he had suffered and he was tired and he was injured, and the comparison that we went with is, yeah, well, Lehman Russ, if he hadn't stayed his own hand, he would have killed Horus. And yes, he was tired, he was wounded.
In fact,
in the
if
battle.
I recall right, he actually took a wound, anyways, to deliver the mortal wound to Horus. So he got stabbed through the chest, anyway, so that he could plunge the spear of Russ into Horus.
Right.
He had him. He had him dead to rights, anyways, and then it's his brother.
Yeah.
So he kind of stays his hand, and Horus, anyways, gets enough time to recover, and he's just like, "Ah, you dork," and then and then proceeds to storm towards him, anyways, and then the Space Wolves actually take him away, and but it's just. Yeah, I kind of agree with you, anyways. Well, not only that, but I mean, Lehman Russ is known as the executioner of the Emperor.
Yeah, him and his chapter was their specific purpose originally was to do whatever the other chapters wouldn't do. They're
Well,
also
not only
meant to
that,
take
anyways,
out
but
other
it was
chapters, hence why they were sent to wipe out the Thousand Sons. Because that's
well,
what their job was as an executioner.
technically they weren't sent to wipe out the Thousand Sons. That's its own can of worms, but they did. But just the concept, anyways, of Lehman Russ is that if there was a job that nobody else could do because it was too tough or it was too hard to do, anyways, he sent the wolf.
Yeah.
It's that simple. So, yeah, I don't think that he could. I don't think Sanguinius could beat Lehman Russ. What about Vulcan?
Well, Vulcan is unkillable, for one thing.
Okay, so real quick, anyways, take that part aside, anyways, that he's unkillable because he's a perpetual. If you take that aside, do you think he could beat him in a fight? I actually think he probably could beat Vulcan in a fight.
See, here's one of the problems that I have is most of the cases when you see Vulcan go against the Primarch, the only case that I can think of was where he faced Magnus.
Oh, he also fought Conrad Kurz.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he fought him, but that one was, and he won that even though he was stuck in a labyrinth, right? The never-ending labyrinth, or whatever it's called.
He's actually fought 2 Primarchs, as far as I know, anyways. He fought Conrad Kurz, and he also fought Magnus the Red.
Yeah.
He fought Magnus on Terra, and then he fought Conrad on Macrog.
Yeah. And
now, mind you, at the time he fought Conrad, he was insane.
Yeah.
But he'd figured out by that point, anyways, he was a Primarch, and there was at one point, anyways, where Conrad literally blew his head off with a bolter and kicked him off of a cliff. And by the time he hit the ground, anyways, his head had come back, anyways, and he just starts climbing the cliff. So, yes. But I'm just saying, if you take that whole perpetual thing out of it, I do think Sanguinius could beat him.
That's the problem, though, is because of the fact that, first of all, him and his chapter were sent to basically almost their own doom almost every single frickin' time that they were sent out to do something. It feels like, anyways. So in that aspect,
for those, anyways, who listen to Sacrona, anyways, enjoy Cheryl's. I think that's his name. Because I need to use the facilities. I will be right back. You want to go ahead, Euxin, and plug in some elevator music?
How about not? Okay, so let's see. Do we have any thoughts so far on if there's anything that you guys would change or any sort of comment whatsoever? Okay, we have from Sacrona, what's the difference between Gork and Mork? The difference really is not much. One is brutal and cunning, the other is cunning brutal. One of them, if you attacked him, he'd just smile and beat you over the head with a club. The other person would just wait till you turn your back and then punch you in your gut instead. Okay.
We're Warhammer noobs, so teach us stuff. It's like Warhammer for dummies. Okay, it's a trap. To put it simply, anyways, the universe of Warhammer 40k just it sucks. Everybody is terrible. Everybody's a horrible person. Humanity is just god awful. It's a fascist regime at this point, but we're actually talking about earlier on, anyways, before the Horus Heresies, known as the Great Crusade, which is like the pinnacle of humanity, where they were out, anyways, beating the crap out of aliens and taking planet after planet after planet. Do you think I covered it there, Yuxin?
Yeah. The least evil out of them would definitely be the orcs, or some people call them the angry mushrooms.
No, I disagree with that. The most
some people
uneven
call them
way-
that. If anybody has been listening to our podcast, on the other hand, you will find that they are much more than just fungus.
No, I'm saying you're saying that they're the only ones that are not evil.
No. I wasn't
disagree with that.
done. I wasn't done.
Oh.
I said one of them.
Okay.
Another one would be the Tyranids,
Tyranids.
because they're just basically, well, we don't know, because we don't know the hive mind's thought. For all we know, the hive mind could be, yes, I just want to exterminate all, and that makes them evil.
Well, and don't forget the space commies. The Tau. They're kind of good guys. But anyways, I digress. So, also, anyways, the people that we're talking about right now, anyways, they're called the Primarchs. The Primarchs, anyways, were the sons of the Emperor. And, yes, we do have mushroom people, hive minds, and space commies.
Oh, and by the way, space commies are these things called Tau, and their whole idea is to spread the greater good, which means less conflict. Mind you, we will technically rule over you.
They're socialists, as opposed to the empire of humanity, which are fascists. So take what you want from that. But this is all, what we're talking about is all before that, anyways, and this is during the time of the Great Crusade, like I said before, where they're kind of conquering everything. And the emperor had these 20 Primarchs that he called his sons, and they were like the biggest and best fighters and strategists and the
Well,
greatest.
at least the 18 that we know of. We don't know about the other two.
The other two were redacted.
Yes.
Well, 20 sons, he was busy. No, unfortunately, he wasn't. He genetically engineered them. It would have been far more entertaining if he actually did get busy with it, but no, he genetically engineered them.
And
They all
through
came out of
them, he created the Space Marines, which were
Yes, exactly. He had a sock and a laboratory.
and then he lost them. But he also took.
There's a horrible joke in there somewhere, but
But anyways, he took from these Primarchs, and he created Space Marines, which are how would you explain it? They're superhumans. They're kind of like, if you've seen StarCraft and the intro scene where the guy's being like strapped into that giant thing of armor, that's kind of what you'd think of when you think Space Marines in Warhammer 40k, except for they're genetically altered to be. They aren't human, really. In reality, they're cyborg yet not.
By the way, I did. Has anybody seen the sock? I'm pretty sure Malkador the Sigilite has the sock.
Well, he had it.
I don't know if Yuxin's figuring this out yet or not.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Well, anyways, getting back to, so these Primarchs, anyways, they all have different types of capabilities and abilities. Now, mind you, anyways, a lot of the ones that we have on the lower tier, anyways, they actually are like amazing generals.
All of them. Okay, let's specify this. All of them are superb fighters.
Yeah,
You
yeah, that
can't.
too.
It's just some of them are better than others.
Right. And while some of the ones on the bottom, anyways, it looks like we're just kind of petering them off. Keep in mind, anyways, these guys are like brilliant tacticians, but that's where their strength lies.
Yeah.
It's not in like hand-to-hand combat. Like, for instance, we were just talking about Lehman Russ. Lehman Russ wasn't the greatest tactician on the planet or in the galaxy.
Yeah.
So, but he was a hell of a fighter. And when you think of their characters, anyways, I mean, we probably won't go around the ones that we already talked about, but Sanguinius was called the Angel. He actually had wings. He could fly. Uh, he he had the ability of foresight, which meant that he kind of had like prophetic visions.
Kinda.
And he was, and most importantly, actually, in all the lore, anyways, he was beloved by all of his brothers. Everybody
Yeah.
loved him, which actually caused a lot of ripples. But and and Jagatai Khan, that was the other guy we were just talking about. He was okay. Just to put it as easily as possible, he was Genghis Khan,
Yeah.
except for faster and a better fighter.
His whole upbringing was basically very much Genghis Khan. He felt that being he was specifically focused on the fact that he would never want to rule the planet that he ended up taking over because he felt empires, if the emperors, if they weren't constantly doing different things, it would just become stale and then things would start to disintegrate. And lo and behold, he's kind of been proven right. Uh,
So to put it in perspective, anyways, what you just said, anyways, Khan from Star Trek, William Shatner would probably be Rabute Gilliman, and Khan would be Horus. It's probably the best way of describing, don't you think, Yuxin?
if I'm going off of what little knowledge that I know of Star
Star
Trek.
Trek. Okay. Well, anyways, so you've almost got your map completed again.
So, anyways, he was also the most mysterious out of them because for some reason, nobody really paid attention to him.
Well, that's because they're fascist racists. I mean, nobody paid attention to Vulcan either.
True. And they obviously had a hatred towards Magnus.
Yeah. Anyways, so okay, so getting back to what I was saying, anyways, I don't think, anyways, that he could beat Jagatai Khan. We also don't think he could beat
Russ.
Lehman Russ. Vulcan. Okay, and by the way, Vulcan. He's how's the best way to describe him? Think of a Shaq. Think of Shaquille O'Neal in giant power armor with a giant hammer. That's Vulcan.
And by the way, he's basically indestructible.
Yeah. So like I said, Shaq Fu in power armor. Take that anyways, but then give him the abilities of Wolverine, where he just can't die.
Or Deadpool. Deadpool would probably be a better reference because of the fact that he's had his head chopped off. He's been vaporized.
He's not as funny as Deadpool.
Well, yeah, because he's nice. He doesn't treat humans as insignificant little things to be stepped on, or.
So okay, you do agree with me though, anyways. That, you do agree with me that Sanguinius could beat Vulcan in a fight, but because of the whole perpetual thing, he could never actually beat Vulcan.
Think if he wasn't perpetual, that would make things different from the way that Vulcan would have ended up fighting, which would change things up too. But just for the sake, if they use the same fighting styles that they do now, and he does as a perpetual right now, then yes, probably. But that's because most of the fights the Vulcans had to do is been against somebody who's been focused on, a specific way of trying to kill him, and so the way to actually get past that is to let them try to kill him.
Right.
So
Well, okay, and then the last guy, obviously, I think we both can agree anyways. There's no way Sanguinius could beat the Lion.
no, the Lion. For those who don't know who he is, the Lion is basically, think of like King Arthur style person who can fight like
Jet Li.
except for with a sword.
Okay, take the martial prowess of Jet Li, Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Dolph Lundgren, put him in the body of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then give him a sword. That's who Lionel Johnson is. Oh, and also give him a very mean attitude.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. That's the Lion. And yes, that's something the Lion would say. I must break you. Nah.
Actually, that's something that's probably more akin to what Russ would say.
Of course, we went Arnie on that one.
I would actually assume that's something that pretty much Russ would actually say, but
yeah. Anyways, so I do think, anyways, we have Sanguinius probably, yeah, and then let's go through the same thing, anyways. The con, I don't think he can beat any of the three last ones we have left.
The only person I could think that he might be able to would be Russ, but that is because once again it comes to that factor of Russ doesn't know what he's capable of. But at the same time, Russ is a skilled enough fighter that it's hard to. There really wouldn't be much of a way to get in to actually successfully hit him.
Yeah.
I guess that's the best way to put it.
To me, anyways, Lehman Russ. Okay, so we already described, anyways, that, and in case anybody hadn't figured this out, anyways, this is really going to boil down to three people: Lehman Russ, the Lion, and then Vulcan. But remember, anyways, we just described, anyways, who Lehman Russ is, or Lionel Johnson is. Lehman Russ, back in the day, anyways, actually fought Lionel Johnson, and they fought for like 2 days. And it wasn't until, anyways, Lehman Russ figured out how futile this whole thing was that he took a step back and laughed about the whole situation, which Lion didn't particularly like, so he slugged him in the face and took off.
So, in other words, it was a cheap shot.
Yeah, a little bit. But, yeah, so, I mean, I just don't see the con being able to beat any of these three guys. I just don't.
Exactly. That's my viewpoint too. It was a sucker punch.
So we are down to our last three. And this is the hard part for me, anyways, trying to figure out these guys. Because personally, anyways, I'm a big fan of Lehman Russ.
Yeah.
Well, I love the Space Wolves. I mean, Space Wolves are pretty much Space Vikings.
Yeah, that really is what they are. They're like the only ones that really, you can see them. They're the only ones that you can really see to have, the long, full blonde beard and long hair. They literally, one of their defects is they grow large canine teeth, which gives them an even more feral-like look to them. They wield axes, unlike pretty much the majority of them.
Too. No, not Rick Moranis. They'd be more like Barf. They're a little bit more wolfy, or more like wolves.
Yeah.
Barf's. What is Barf? He's half. What is it? His name is.
He's a Mog. He's half man.
Or he's a Mog. Yeah, half dog, half man. Right. Yeah, and we've done a few, anyways. Podcasts on the Space Wolves. He's his own best friend. God, I miss that movie. I still think my favorite part of that whole movie is where they put on Spaceballs in the movie.
Yeah. How can we do it? Why hasn't even finished filming yet?
No. Where they put on the movie and all of a sudden they're looking at themselves. We're in now. Go back to then. When? Just now. We passed it. When?
Now. When will
When
now
will now
be then?
be
Soon.
Soon. We're almost there. When? Just Rick Moranis, anyways, going nuts. The end of it is perfect. But anyways, we're getting sidetracked here. Leave us alone, Mel Brooks. Oh no, wait, different movie. That was Men in Tights.
Yeah.
Anyways, so out of these last three, anyways, who's the best fighter?
When it comes to straight up fighting, Russ and Johnson are so close together. I think Johnson is a technical enough, I should say, fighter that he might have a slight edge over Russ when it comes to, for example, wielding a blade. Right. As we know, it's up in the air when it comes to just unarmed fighting because, like it's mentioned in the stories, Lionel Johnson was faster, but Russ was definitely stronger, which made him comparable when it came to that sort of fighting. I think that if it was definitely a sword fight, Johnson would have a slight edge over him. If it was any other weapon, I would lean towards Russ, because Russ is somebody who basically didn't have a specific favored weapon over another, as far as I'm aware of, because he used axe, spear, sword, and obviously hands.
Right, hang on half a second. You can. It's a Trap Productions brought up an interesting question. Said, all right, there's a blade. Fast guy or strong guy? Who wins? Well, if it's okay, if we're talking about these two particular characters, there's also one other thing that we're not mentioning. They're both wearing armor.
Well, like I said,
if they weren't wearing armor, I'd say the Lion, because he's faster. But they're wearing armor.
At the same time, one of the things about one of the reasons why the Khan is also up there is because he was also very fast.
Incredibly fast, yeah.
Incredibly fast.
But to me, anyways, Lionel Johnson and Lehman Russ, if they went to tussle again, anyways, it reminds me a lot of if and this is a Terran 42 reference, but if Muhammad Ali fought Tyson.
Okay.
Which never happened because they were in two different eras. But if they fought each other, it'd be an amazing battle because Muhammad Ali, anyways, was significantly faster than Tyson. But at the same time, Tyson was fast, but he also was significantly more powerful. Yeah. You watch some of the fights that Tyson did, anyways, just that uppercut, anyways. You're just sitting there and you're like, damn, I don't think that guy's alive anymore. He falls to the ground. I mean, it was. I mean,
part of it when it comes to strength versus speed is also how well the person's able to wield it. It's kind of like, for example, if you know how somebody's going to move and you're only just slightly slower, you can go with that prediction and you'll still be able to defend yourself against it or be able to actually throw in a counter because you know what's coming.
Now,
which is something that Johnson actually did have sort of a knack for also, is being able to, he didn't have foresight or anything like that, but he was able to read people well enough when it came to actual combat, that he was able to maneuver like that, which is also another reason why I think he has that slight edge when it comes to using a sword over Russ. Now, if Russ was like using an axe, I have no idea, because those are two completely different fighting styles that you're going with. More likely, what Russ would be trying to do then is maybe try to catch the sword under his arm, and in that case, L. Johnson, if that happened, let's face it, he'd be kind of screwed if his sword got caught. With a giant axe coming down at you.
Let me put it this way, like I said, anyways, with the whole Terran 42, if it was Tyson versus Muhammad Ali, I'm kind of an old school guy, anyways, and kind of older, so I'd probably go with Ali. which means I got to give this anyways to the lion. Even though I love Russ,
Yeah.
I think the lion would beat him.
Like I said, when it comes to the sword fight, I think he would have the edge.
So do you agree with me?
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead and plug in Mr. Russ up there.
Yeah, because as we've stated,
we're not talking about the guy who plays for the Broncos. He would have gotten stomped by Lionel Johnson.
So, and we know Russ
Uh.
can't beat Vulcan. I have no idea how they would pair up if Vulcan wasn't a perpetual. Because
so if he
all of
wasn't
a sudden you have the
Lionel
strongest
Johnson
person against somebody who's strong but not as strong. So,
are you kidding me? If he wasn't a perpetual, Lionel Johnson would wipe the floor.
No, I'm talking about Vulcan versus Russ.
Oh. Yeah, Russ would wipe the floor with Vulcan too. They both would just throttle him.
I do think we can agree in, though, when it comes to Johnson and Vulcan, it depends on what type of fight it was. If it was to see who was able to disable who, Johnson would win. If it was to the death, Johnson would more likely lose. Because you can't kill Vulcan.
Unless he's got some Fulgurite.
But then he wouldn't really be able to use much sword skill, would he, to try to do that?
Well, no, he'd just attach to a spear or something and just stab it. Okay, for those of you who don't know what Fulgurite is
Warhammer 40K's catch-all. We can't kill somebody, so we'll try to find some sort of gimmick to do it.
Well,
it's a gimmick item.
So let me explain, okay, Yuxin? So Fulgurite is a mineral anyways that has been combined with the essence of the Emperor. And this means that this particular rock will allow, it can kill perpetuals. That's really what it can do.
Under certain circumstances.
True. Other times it heals them. We just don't really know how it works. It's like Yuxin said anyways, it's kind of a gimmick. But it's very similar to Superman and Kryptonite. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's Warhammer's Kryptonite. Exactly. It's the concept anyways that it's very rare. Nobody knows where it is, kind of thing. But every once in a while it pops up. Unless, you're fighting a perpetual and then everybody has it. It's kind of like
no, actually.
It's like, hey, hang on, Yuxin, hang on. It's kind of like in Superman, anyways, where it's just kind of like the only thing that can kill him is kryptonite, but it's so rare nobody has it. But then all the villains have it for some weird reason. It's kind of the same concept in Warhammer 40K.
Except for it doesn't show up nearly as often as that. I think there's only been like a couple cases where it shows up, and the rest of the case, they're just like, the perpetuals, they can't die until somebody comes up and has enough psychic power and warp power to completely eviscerate them, or if they use their life essence to save somebody else, then they die. It's just like, okay. Which happened with Malkador and actually a couple of other ones. Who's like, we must save this person who's a perpetual, but apparently is about to die. I'll sacrifice myself.
Oh no! Wait! Malkador died because he sat on the Golden Throne.
Now, he died to help save the Emperor.
Yeah, because he sat on the Golden Throne.
He actually almost died before then, when he was talking to Magnus.
He did die.
But he ended up sacrificing himself to save the Emperor.
He took the Emperor's place on the Golden Throne so he could go fight Horus. And then when the Emperor came back and Malkador was coming out of the Golden Throne, he literally just like dissolved.
So they had a kryptonite convention.
You're just reading that?
Yeah, just reading that.
By the way, it's a trap production. Thank you, by the way, for sending us all these texts. We were really worried that nobody was going to listen to any of this. So Thank you. We really appreciate this.
Yeah.
But getting back to, we have to have a winner here.
So, like I
And
said,
so it really comes down to the Lion or Vulcan.
and in my opinion, depending if it was just to see who is able to, like, for example, pin the other person or something like that, I think Johnson has the edge on that. But if it's comes down to who will kill who, I think Vulcan would win.
Because he's a perpetual?
Because he's a perpetual.
Has nothing to do with his fighting prowess. It has to do with the fact that anyways.
Well, I think his fighting prowess would eventually also help. Because as soon as he would hit Lionel Johnson maybe 2 or 3 times, he probably would die.
So what if the battle started anyways, and it was Lionel Johnson? He's got his sword, he's got his shield, and then tucked in his belt, he's got a Fulbright knife. He's fighting Vulcan. And Vulcan's got his what do they call it? He calls it what? The Doom Hammer?
Well, he had a couple of them.
Yeah, he did have hammers, but they were all pretty awesome. But
yeah.
He normally fights with a warhammer, a giant 2-handed warhammer, right?
Yeah, which he could wield with one hand, so, you know.
Yes. So who do you think wins? If Lionel Johnson has some Fulbright anyway, so he actually has the ability to kill Vulcan, who wins?
I would say that would actually be a toss up. And the only reason why I say that is because you add in another factor that now all of a sudden you're having to wield something that has a shorter range. And also you have to be able to take the time to switch weapons.
Or you could just drop your shield anyways and pick up a dagger and dual wield.
So, anyways.
Well, there you have it, folks. Yeah, and in conclusion here, because honestly, I think the Lion anyways would end up winning. If he's got some sort of Fulbright weapon, he'd end up winning.
Be up here.
Because he's the better fighter. But Vulcan, on the other hand, anyways, like you mentioned, Yuxin, anyways, is a perpetual, which makes it so difficult, anyways, trying to figure out. It really becomes more of a conversation, anyways, on how to kill Vulcan, as opposed to who's the better fighter.
Yeah.
So, but if you could give, anyways, Lionel Johnson the concept, anyways, of being able to kill, Vulcan, I think you kind of have to agree with me, right? Lionel Johnson is the better fighter.
He is a better fighter.
Okay. So you want to go ahead and finish our little chart there real quick?
I did.
Oh.
It must be on extreme lag or something.
Oh, or something. Yeah. So who do you got on the top one?
I put both of them in the S area.
Okay, fair enough. Before we take off real quick, I want to thank, by the way, It's a Trap Productions for signing anyways on the chat. Appreciate that. Real quick anyways, before we take off, figured anyways we could talk a little bit anyways about some of the quirkiness of the Primarchs. And if you've got any questions, by the way, Trap, we could go ahead and answer them.
Well, apparently there's a lot that we can talk about concerning it, since yeah,
we have
about 10%. Okay, so
okay, real quick, we do have to get into Alfarius a little bit.
Yes. Okay, so Alfarius is, the joke is that Alfarius would walk up and say, "I'm Alfarius," and somebody would say, "That is a lie." And the reason behind that is because there were actually two Primarchs. They would interchange themselves between Alfarius and Omegon. They were twins, so they looked
All right,
exactly
hang on
the
a
same.
second, Nixon. All right, later, Trap. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. All right, go ahead, Yuxin.
Okay. So, anyways, there were twin Primarchs. All the Space Marines in their legion were tall, so they would be roughly around the same size as Alfarius, and they would have the general exact physique. So nobody knew exactly who he was, or who they were, for that matter.
Just get to the point of it. The point of it is that everything that the Alpha Legion does is a lie.
Yes, because they were the covert.
So the joke is, we've got this whole top tier thing, right? And we've got the two guys at the top. Well, that's a lie, because it's really Alfarius. That's the way that Alfarius works. Okay, so real quick though, before we do take off, anyways, Yuxin, who is your favorite Primarch?
My favorite Primarch would be actually between the Khan and Russ.
Really? Why is that?
Russ, because he's a Viking.
Right.
And he adheres a lot to that. And so I like that factor. On the other hand, you have the Khan, who has this very who is stoic. Like, yeah, he's very stoic. He thinks things through. He's not necessarily a master tactician like Gilliman or Dorn, but he has the ability of thinking things through and making actual educated decisions. He was not nearly as emotional as most of these other people also.
He's more the adult of the group.
Yes, exactly. He's pretty much the mature one of them. Oh, besides Vulcan. Vulcan is, Vulcan's almost like a grandpa. I mean...
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
He's like the grandpa of them.
So real quick though, who's your favorite traitor Primarch? I think that's actually a more difficult question.
Oh, sorry. Another one of my favorites, obviously, is Alfarius. But
Alfarius doesn't count because we don't know if he was actually a traitor or a loyalist.
So, on the other hand, Alfarius would also be in the traitor list.
No, that is a lie.
But when it comes to traitor ones,
so the traitors, who's your favorite?
Let's see, which ones are the traitor ones? You have Ingron, Kurz, Mortarion, Horus, Fulgrim, Pertubro, Magnus, and Lorgar, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not Lorgar. Not Angron, because pretty much he's, I'm the
Lorgar,
angry one.
Lorgar, we give him a lot of crap, but at the same time, he's really actually not that bad. He honestly, anyways, he put his father up on a pedestal, and his father literally took one look at him, anyways, and literally kicked him in the face.
Yeah. Well.
And he went, "Why? Okay, I'll go find somebody else, anyways, that I like." And then, unfortunately, he it's like a teenager. He's like, "Okay." Then he went tooling off, and he ended up in the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
Started becoming a gangbanger. And, I mean, you can see it. He's got tattoos all over his face now.
Yeah. So I also
Wearing long, draggy clothes. Just, yeah, yeah, it's terrible.
I also would not go with Fulgrim.
Yeah,
Uh,
I wouldn't either. Fulgrim's kind of
I'm
a.
leaning towards Magnus being one of them. Um,
What is your character call sign?
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the problem I
Yeah,
have with
I'm leaning to
Magnus,
Magnus. Yeah, I have to go
he's
with
kind of a
Magnus.
dunderhead.
The yeah, he was kind of stupid in a sense, but he was well.
Well, I mean,
Let's
he
face it.
tried doing it for the right reasons, but he was a dunderhead. But
Yeah. Um,
what occurs?
I do kind of like Mortarian's viewpoint a little, like in the fact that one of the reasons why he did what he did was actually to save his chapter. But
Oh, you talking about anyways promising himself to Nurgle?
yeah, because if he didn't, then basically his entire legion was gonna die.
Well, the problem with that though is, anyways, he ended up, destroying his legion. It was a catch-22 that didn't work out very well. But
Well, they
what
aren't all
occurs?
dead.
Okay, me personally, anyways, my favorite traitor Primarch is probably Horus. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but
Well,
I mean,
I don't know enough about Horus, so I
especially if
can't
you
tell you.
read like the first books of the Horus Heresy, um, Horus Horace got it. I mean, he really was trying to do the right thing, and then even after, anyways, he turned as a traitor. Anyways, it was more along the lines of he thought that he was betrayed by the emperor, which, if you kind of look at it, probably would have happened. I mean, okay, so for those of you that don't know, anyways, the Space Marines weren't the actual first warriors of the emperor. The first warriors were, or genetic warriors, at least. The first genetic warriors were the Thunder Warriors. That was their name. And they helped, anyways, with the Unification Wars, where the Emperor eventually took over Terra. And then after he had taken over Terra, he literally had the Space Marines exterminate the Thunder Warriors. And the thought process behind after that, anyways, and this was something, anyways, actually the Space Marines actually wondered about, was after the Great Crusade, what were the Space Marines going to do? Well, if we look back in history, they wouldn't have done anything. What would end up happening was the Custodians would have just killed them all. It's just kind of the thought process. And Horus, anyways, kind of figured this out along with some other things. And he kind of made his mark. Now, mind you, anyways, he went in the wrong direction. He shouldn't, in my opinion, he shouldn't have gone with chaos. He should have just straight up just said, you know what, we're just going to do this out of chaos.
Yeah.
But he didn't, because he needed the power, anyways, that chaos gave him. I mean, by the time he hits Terra, Horus is nigh unstoppable. I mean, he's that much of a monster, but I don't know. What do you think?
I think all of them had quite a few issues.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think there were a whole lot of them, anyways, that did particularly well by themselves. Wouldn't have done particularly well by themselves. Oh, they would have conquered a planet, and then that would have been about it. They might have started their own little tiny empires, but
Well, that's what the majority of them did before the Emperor showed up.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I know we had some kind of bumps and struggles at the beginning of this. We kind of fixed them as we went along. But for those of you listening, and I'm sure it's probably just the Corona, right? Look at the chat.
Maybe.
We've only got one person listening left. I'm guessing it's the Corona. But thank you, Sacrona, anyways, for helping us actually set this up. But tune in anyways on Wednesday, because we will be releasing. What are we releasing again, Houston?
Oh wow, this is showing up on the actual thing. Oh crap. It's showing pretty much my entire page. Okay.
You okay there, Houston?
No, I just noticed that. Never mind. So, what were you saying?
We're releasing anyways on Wednesday. What are we releasing on Wednesday? What are our videos?
We will be releasing parts 1 and 2 of our collection on the Beast.
Mm-hmm. Which was
not the Beast of Armageddon. The Beast.
No, dude. That's Ulthreka. But yeah, no. This is about the Beast, anyways, in 32nd Millennium. I'm halfway through it. So, oh, and by the way, Euxin, we actually described, anyways, how far past, anyways, the Horus Heresy it was. It was 1,500 years.
Ah, okay.
Now, we kind of wondered about that. Well, anyways, how should we do this, X-Men? Oh, maybe we do it like we always do. Thank you anyways for those that listen. If you liked, please comment, subscribe, and follow. And as always, until next time, this is Zekthar.
And Euxin. Signing off.
We'll have to work on that. Anyways, listen to this damn thing.
Okay. And